Nice costume.
You too.
Thanks. The hard part was figuring out the right number of arrow holes.
Because on page 84 of Sapphire Stone, it describes her dodging a, quote, score of arrows shooting forth from holes in the very walls, unquote. But then, on page 107, Daring Do says she, quote, barely made it past the trap's barrage of arrows, unquote. But clearly, Daring Do is embellishing, and the correct number of arrows is 20!
Wow. Boy, and we're supposed to be the nerds. Alright, this episode made a reference to Dakimakura body pillows. This show is run by perverts, there you go. So, what do you make of an episode named Stranger Than Fanfiction? I mean, can anyone say that with a straight face? I think not. Rainbow Dash attends a Daring Do convention where she meets Quibble Pants, and the two hit it off pretty well. At first. They start arguing over the quality of later entries in the series. Gee, that sounds like something else that I'm familiar with. Eventually, they get involved in Daring Do's latest scuffle with Caballeron in search of another treasure. Now the two must work together to outsmart Caballeron and help Daring Do find the treasure while working around their disagreements with each other. Is it as irritating as it sounds? Is Ice Age 5 one of the worst pieces of shit I've ever seen? Sorry, still fresh in my mind. I should probably start by talking about how the episode captures the culture within fandoms and conventions. We got people dressing up in cosplay, selling merchandise, playing games, talking about shared interests, decorations, and taking pictures. Do they get it right? Yes, but it's not really the heart of the episode, and it's obviously just there to set up Dash's friendship with Quibble just to reel them into arguing for most of the episode. It's appreciated that the staff have a sense of what it's like being at a convention. Considering that I've been to a couple of them myself, it's pretty accurate. But I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a method of padding too. It's distracting, but it's nice to watch. The main focus of the episode is Dash and Quibble being pitted next to each other, and the scenes featuring the two of them arguing get fairly repetitive and boring. It felt like the writer behind the episode wanted to capture the experience of fans within their own base having different points of view. It's basically a look into broken bases. Even if it's accurate to how it really happens in fandoms, it's still not a fun way to watch the episode. All the time spent on these two arguing could have been spent on developing other things in the episode. More exploration, more set pieces in the temples, more elaborate puzzle solving, more high-stakes conflict with the villain. Things that people actually want to see when they think of Indiana Jones. It's not done in the worst way it could have been handled, but Dash and Quibble's constant bickering is still a major fault of the episode because there wasn't any other way to fill in the episode's 20-minute time-lapse. I should talk about Quibble as the character for this episode, and I'm fairly neutral towards him. Not because he represents the "it's ruined" side of the broken base, but because he's not as interesting as others that have been used as one-shots for their respective episodes. A lot of his time is spent expressing his nerdy knowledge on Daring Do, and the episode doesn't do anything with his dialogue or turn it in a way that makes it funny or compelling. He just talks about Daring Do because, well, he's a Daring Do nerd. Even the scenes where he works off of stuff he doesn't think is real just feels typical and dragged out. But to be fair, they actually make good use of him so he's not pointless to the story. He helps the other characters with his nerdiness by giving them advice, how to solve some puzzles, and escaping from traps. And I like the relationship he develops with Rainbow Dash. It even has a nice ending showing that even though people and fanbases have different viewpoints, they can still be good friends. Maybe some other time they'll make more fun out of the contrast between the two to best portray or make fun of broken bases. Other stuff in the episode is nice too, as the Indiana Jones stuff still stays in good form. Cartoony villains, interesting looking caves and monuments, monster chases, and nonsensical plot elements like how did Caballeron and his minions track them down without seeing where they were going? If you're gonna be like Indiana Jones, you might as well not make sense either, am I right? Stranger Than Fanfiction isn't the most exciting way to kick off the second half of Season 6, but it's certainly a serviceable episode. The Indiana Jones homages are nice, but there's a lot of times the character interactions feel too silly and off-putting. I'll probably see it again, but there's certainly other episodes that I would rewatch first. Miss Anthropony, over and out.
Do you think A.K. Yearling would consider letting me write the next book? I think I can make things way clearer. I mean, for instance, in the second adventure, there's a side character. I don't want to kind of name it right now because it's sort of this thing that I've already written a lot of fan fiction on. I don't want, not that I'm saying that you would steal it, but I am saying that this would totally go along my whole thing about puzzle solving, except what if each puzzle that was solved unlocked a new karate move? Think of it that way, right? I mean, I'm kind of a yearlight myself, so I'm sure she'd be open to...
Quibble?
Sorry?